I posted a cheap flash sheet and my DMs filled up fast. 5 tiny line work things, cheap price, because Rent doesn't care if you're building your brand. I hit upload, pulled gloves on, and kept wiping my station like the phone wasn't buzzing itself off the counter. You get that quick little high. People want your work until you open the messages and realize half of them don't want ink, they want access. Most of the DMs were normal. Size day, deposit, a couple, can you do it smaller? Questions. Then one account slid in with this weirdly polite vibe and asked for a tiny name on a ribcage. That alone isn't weird. I've done names everywhere, but he didn't ask about font or placement. He asked if I tattoo after close, if I take private late-night appointments, if I'm alone in the shop when I do it. I told him my hours were my hours, shop only, and someone else is always in the building. He pushed for late night anyway. He offered more money, then tried to make it sound like he was doing me a favor, like I should be grateful a stranger wanted me alone. I told him no, blocked him, forgot. Next day, midday, the bell over the door rang and a stranger walked in and asked for me by name like we talked. He didn't do the usual look around the walls thing. He didn't even glance at the flash. He stepped right up to the counter and held up my post on his phone. "This one," he said, tapping the ribcage name. I told him I didn't remember talking to him. He smiled like that wasn't the point. I leaned over to see the screen and my stomach dropped. In the corner of my own photo was a QR code. Clean, crisp, like a watermark. I never added a QR code. I don't even have one. I told him that wasn't my image. He shrugged and angled the phone closer, so the code sat there begging to be scanned, like he was trying to drag my face toward it. I pushed the phone back and told him we weren't doing anything today. He didn't argue. He didn't get loud. He just stared at me like he was counting what I had, hands, keys, who was in the room, then walked out slow like he knew he could come back whenever. I locked the door after him, even though we don't lock the door in the middle of the day, and I scanned the QR with my own phone because curiosity beats fear for about 30 seconds before the fear wins. It opened a page on some ugly site with a random URL string. The header had my Instagram handle and my profile picture, but the bio was rewritten like an ad. Under were tabs, photos, info, notes. I scrolled and my throat tightened. They'd scraped my photos, not just tattoo shots. Old posts from years ago. A Mother's Day pic with my mom. A dumb story where you can see the mural across from my old apartment. Under info, they had my full address, my old jobs listed out, my mom's name, my landlord's phone number, even the model of the busted intercom outside my building. Comments underneath rated me like a product. People argued about whether I looked scared in public. Somebody posted a blurry pic of me at the grocery store, taken through a rack of chips. Another one zoomed in on my hands at a gas pump and talked about my rings like they were identifying marks. One guy wrote my closing time and the make of my car. Accurate. Another guy wrote that my front door sticks and I always shove it twice. Also accurate. I sat down on a shop floor because my legs just quit. I kept thinking, okay, this is some asshole with too much time. Then I saw a comment that said, casually, "Call the landlord, he'll confirm she's alone." That's when it stopped feeling like online bullshit and started feeling like somebody had their hand on my front door. I called my mom and told her to stop posting pictures of me, to stop using my name in comments, to lock her profile down. She laughed at first because she didn't want to believe it. Then she got quiet and asked me how someone found her maiden name, and I didn't have an answer that didn't make my stomach twist. I told my mentor because he's been tattooing forever and he acts like nothing scares him. I showed him the link. He called it internet drama and told me to stop being a bitch about it because everyone gets trolls. I said they had my address and my mom's name. He said I shouldn't have posted so much, like I deserved it for having a face online. I snapped back that I was trying not to get hurt. He rolled his eyes and told me to focus on my lines and don't feed it. Cool. That night the shop phone rang nonstop. Ring, hang up, ring again, over and over like someone was testing how long it would take to break me. I let it ring at first, then I unplugged it. The owner got pissed because clients can't reach us. I told him I didn't give a fuck. Somebody has my address. He told me to stop bringing heat to his business and threatened to cut my hours. We argued in the back room with the machines humming, and I realized he was more scared of losing money than I was of losing sleep. Then the ringing stopped all at once, and the line went dead quiet, and the quiet felt like someone somewhere decided they didn't need the phone anymore. A delivery showed up close to 9. Brown box, my name on it, billed to me, shipped to the shop. I didn't order anything. I opened it on the counter with my hands shaking. Inside was a box of needles I didn't order, brand new sealed. An invoice with the last 4 of my card correct. Under the packing paper was a printed screenshot of my front door, taken from the hallway, not the street. You could see the scuff by the peephole, and my doormat half crooked like it always is because it catches on the corner. Whoever took it was standing right outside my apartment. There was a note, printed, no handwriting, smile for the QR. I went home and stared at my door like it had betrayed me. I checked the peephole until my eye hurt. I listened to the elevator cable, the neighbor's shower, the click of the building's front lock. Around 2 a.m., I heard a soft scrape in the hall, and my whole body went rigid, waiting for the knob to turn. Nothing happened. That was almost worse. It meant whoever it was didn't need to do anything right then. Next morning, I called my landlord and tried to ask about cameras without sounding like a lunatic. He got defensive immediately, like I was accusing him. I asked if anyone had called him about me. He paused and said people call all the time. He told me to stop making trouble. I hung up and realized his number on that page wasn't just info, it was a lever. I changed numbers that day. New SIM, told only family and the shop. My mom got the new number and texted me a heart like that fixed it. The page updated within an hour. New number right there like they'd been waiting. Somebody commented, "She thinks she's clever." I stare at that update like it was a receipt for my own stupidity. I hadn't told anyone the new number except my mom and the shop had it on a sticky note by the landline, out in the open. I tore the note down, shredded it, then hated myself for thinking paper mattered when the whole point was they were already inside the cracks. I stopped taking calls from unknown numbers because every time I answered I heard either dead air or somebody laughing like they were muted on purpose. I started getting emails from clients who referenced the QR like it was a legit booking link. I told them it wasn't me, and half of them acted offended, like I was refusing business. I caught myself scanning corners of photos for that little square like it could pop up anywhere. The QR wasn't just a code, it was a tag, a way to mark me so other people could find the page and join the game. I kept thinking I could scrub myself clean if I just worked quiet and went home quiet, but every time I shut a door, I pictured someone else opening a tab. So I tried to disappear. Private account, deleted old posts, stopped tagging the shop, stopped posting in real time. It didn't matter. The page still existed. It still had my old life archived, like a trophy case. People still commented like I was a character. I started spotting myself in reflections, thinking every phone held up in public was aimed at me. I started walking with my head down and my keys out and my stomach tight. I filed takedowns and reports. Automated replies. Will review. Nothing. I went to the cops with screenshots and the shipping label and that door photo, and the officer told me to limit social media exposure. Like turning off a light makes the roaches leave. I moved, packed at night, paid movers cash, didn't post a damn thing about it. I didn't forward mail because I thought I was smarter than the system. New building, doorman, cameras, clean lobby that smelled like disinfectant and money. For a few days, I slept like a human again. The page posted my new mailbox the next week, like they followed the forwarding notice. The worst part wasn't the threats. It was the feeling that every time I tried to disappear, I made a new breadcrumb trail for some bored, sick fuck to enjoy. The call sounded routine. Priority actuator fault, access tunnel, quick in and out. That's what the ticket said. I've been doing controls work long enough that most urgent calls were just somebody panicking because a light blinked the wrong color. I threw my meter, laptop, and a bag of tools in the truck and drove out half awake, telling myself I'd be home before lunch if the place wasn't a circus. The facility sat behind fencing and badge readers like it was guarding nuclear codes, not valves and pipes. Usually you sign in, get a visitor sticker, and some bored operator walks you down. This time the supervisor met me at the gate. Not in the lobby, at the gate. He waved me through like he didn't want my truck sitting out front. Then he hustled me inside so fast I nearly tripped. He kept glancing over his shoulder, jaw tight, like he expected someone to step out of the dark and stop us. As we cut into the access tunnel, I clocked the cameras. I noticed stuff like that for a living. The domes weren't pointed at the floor like usual. They were turned toward the walls, away from the walking path, like someone had adjusted them for privacy. That's not how security works. That's how you create blind spots. I asked him who touched them. He didn't answer. He just picked up the pace and kept his shoulder half in front of me, like he was hurting me. His radio sat on his belt, and it stayed dead silent the whole walk, which felt wrong too. The tunnel smelled like wet concrete and old electrical cabinets. My boots slapped through puddles that never dry. He led me to the actuator cabinet at the junction and stopped, hands in his pockets, watching me instead of the equipment. I popped the latch and froze. Fresh zip screws, shiny heads, and a second lock I didn't recognize sitting where the facility lock should have been. New metal, clean keyway. Somebody went out of their way to add it. I looked back at him. He stared at my hands and nodded once like go on. I cut the lock. The snap echoed down the tunnel, and my stomach tightened like I'd just made a noise in a sleeping house. Behind the panel wasn't just wiring and a controller. There was a small router, a battery pack, and a phone taped in place, camera aimed straight down the tunnel. Not a maintenance setup, a fucking stakeout. The router light blinked steady. The phone screen was on. It wasn't dead, wasn't forgotten, it was placed. The actuator's normal comms line sat there untouched, like the fault was just bait to get someone alone on camera. I took a photo. I didn't even think about it. Muscle memory. Document it before it turns into a story nobody believes. The supervisor saw my screen and snapped, loud, that I wasn't authorized to record. Not like policy talk, like threat talk. He reached for my phone with that confident grab like he'd done it before. I shoved him back, and he slammed me into the concrete, hard enough to rattle my teeth. My head hit, and I tasted blood. He didn't swing wild. He pinned me. He moved like a bouncer clearing a doorway. I tried to twist away, and he drove his forearm into my chest. Not to scare me, to control me. My phone was still in my fist. I clenched it so tight my hand cramped. For a second I thought, fine, give it to him, end it. Then I saw the phone in the cabinet still staring, still recording, and I realized giving in wouldn't end anything. It would just move the line. I bolted deeper into the tunnel because the exit was behind him. Wrong choice. I ran on pure panic. My tool bag smacked my knee, my decision stacking up behind me like bad debt. I heard him jogging after me, keys clinking, breathing steady. That part still freaks me out. He didn't sound angry. He sounded sure. I hit the next junction and the door was already shut. Fresh padlock, clean metal, still shiny like it came out of package 10 minutes earlier. I grabbed the handle and yanked. Nothing. I ran my shoulder into it and pain shot down my arm. I shook it again anyway, like the right amount of force could change reality. It didn't. I turned and saw him coming, still calm. He raised his hand, not even clenched, just reaching like he was going to take my phone and walk me back like a misbehaving kid. My throat closed. I screamed until my voice cracked and kicked the door until my boot split. I felt the rubber peel and the cold, wet sock under it. Nobody answered. The tunnel threw my scream back at me and made it sound like there were two of me losing my mind. He got close enough that I could smell his deodorant over the damp concrete. He didn't talk. He didn't need to. He made another grab for my phone. I jerked away and scraped my shoulder on the wall. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped it. The only thing that saved me was my own panic. I yanked the fire pole station and the whole plant started howling. Sirens tore through the tunnel. Lights strobed red and white like somebody was taking photos of a crash. Somewhere above us, doors slammed and boots ran. Not one set, a bunch. The supervisor flinched for the first time, Not at me, at the noise, at the fact that now other people existed again. I ran back the way we came, limping in that busted boot, lungs on fire. I passed the cabinet, and that taped phone stared at me like a dead eye. I wanted to rip it off and smash it, but footsteps hit the stairs and I knew I'd get caught with it in my hands. Security dragged me out and acted annoyed, not concerned. They grabbed my arms hard, shoved my tool bag aside with a boot, and hauled me toward the access door while I tried to spit out what happened. I kept pointing back into the tunnel, saying there's a router in the cabinet. There's a phone filming, he attacked me. They didn't even look. Over their shoulders, I saw the supervisor standing back like he belonged there, breathing normal, adjusting his collar like he'd just come from a meeting. They walked me into a side room and did an inspection. Bright fluorescents, metal chair bolted to the floor, a camera in the corner that was definitely pointed the right way. They took my phone, said it was procedure, and kept it out of my sight while they asked me the same questions in circles. Who authorized you? Why did you go past the junction? Why did you touch the cabinet? Why did you pull the alarm? Every question sounded like an accusation. Nobody asked why the supervisor put his hands on me. Nobody asked why a door deeper in the tunnel was pre-locked. When they handed my phone back, my photo was gone. Not just deleted, wiped. The recent files were missing. The trash was empty, like it never existed. My paperwork disappeared too. The visitor log didn't show my name when I asked for a copy. The work order number came back as closed without notes. I called my dispatcher, and she said the facility claimed they never requested me. Like I dreamed the whole drive there. I checked my call log, and the number that woke me up that morning showed up as unknown, like it came through some switchboard that didn't want a record. My phone clock was off by a few minutes too, like it had been restarted. Maybe I'm paranoid, but it felt like somebody plugged it into a machine and scrubbed it clean. I wrote everything down anyway. Times, names, what the lock looked like, where the pull station was, because I knew my memory would start getting argued with. I emailed my own account from the truck with a rough summary and photos of my bruises, just so there was a timestamp outside their network. I tried to file an incident report with the facility's safety office and got bounced between extensions until the line went dead. When I asked for the supervisor's full name, security told me he was not available, like he was a concept, not a person. I even called the non-emergency police line and the dispatcher. Basically, he said if I wasn't actively trapped in there right now, it was a workplace matter. So I sat with nothing but my split boot, my sore jaw, and that sick feeling that the whole place could close ranks and rewrite reality whenever it wanted. I went to my manager with bruises on my shoulder and a split boot, and he got quiet in a way that told me this wasn't new to him. He asked if I had proof. I told him they took it. He told me, straight, to drop it and not go back out there unless he said so. I went home with that metallic taste still in my mouth, and the longer I sat with it, the more the pattern hardened in my head. Cameras turned, door locked, gear planted, security board, my evidence erased. I kept replaying the moment I saw that taped phone because it wasn't hidden like a mistake. It was mounted like evidence, like they wanted a recording of whatever they did to me down there. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard those keys and that steady jogging breath, like he could take his time because the tunnel belonged to him. 2 days later, a new actuator showed up in my shop with no purchase order. Same brand, same cabinet keyway. Like someone wanted me back down there to finish the job and shut the fuck up. The house was empty on paper. No power, no furniture, no occupied notice. I did the walkthrough, checked closets, made sure nobody was hiding. I kept the front door propped because it was hot and I didn't want to look paranoid. It was a cheap flip that kept dying on the market, and my broker had been snapping at me all week like I was personally refusing to do my job. Vacant, the note said. Utilities off. Easy showing. I popped the lockbox, stepped inside, and that dead house silence hit me hard. No fridge hum, no AC kick, no little live sounds. Just my shoes on the floor and the house making tiny heat pops in the walls. I moved fast because that's how you survive these vacant listings. Living room, kitchen, hall, bedrooms. I opened every closet hard enough to make the hinges complain. I looked in the laundry nook, the pantry, the little understairs cutout where spiders throw parties. Nothing. No bags, no blankets, no smell of someone camping. I flicked a couple switches out of habit. Dead, like it was supposed to be. I told myself to stop being dramatic and keep the door propped. Around noon, I started catching little changes that didn't line up with my memory. A closet door in the back bedroom that I knew I'd shut was cracked open again. Not wide, just enough to look like it was breathing. I shut it, pressed the knob until it latched, walked away, then looked back, still shut. Fine. Then I passed the hallway bathroom and saw a weak yellow glow inside. Power was off. The glow wasn't from a window. It was from a battery lantern sitting on the sink like it belonged there. I didn't bring a lantern. I stood there with my hand on the frame, waiting for my brain to cough up a normal explanation. Maybe the seller left it. Maybe a contractor. So I walked in and grabbed it. Warm plastic. Fresh batteries. No dust. Like it had been in someone's hand minutes ago. My stomach dropped because it wasn't old junk in a vacant house. It was new, active, placed. I checked behind the door, behind the toilet, inside the empty vanity like an idiot. Nothing. The only sound was that faint little rattle a lantern makes when you tilt it. I called my broker. I told him there was a lantern in the house and doors were moving. He cut me off, annoyed, like I called to complain about traffic. He said people forget stuff, said I was wasting time, then hit me with sell the damn place. He followed it up with a laugh like I told a joke, then reminded me the seller was watching the feedback, and if I couldn't handle a simple vacant, he'd give it to someone else. That lit the familiar shame fuse in me. I hated that it worked. I hung up and stared at the open front door with sunlight pouring in, like the bright outside could erase the fact that somebody had been in there with me. A couple showed up for the noon slot, right on time. Normal people, polite, mid-30s, the kind of buyers who talk about natural light like it's going to fix their lives. I did the smile and the tour, voice on autopilot. My brain split in half. One half describing countertops, the other half listening for a sound that didn't match her steps. In the kitchen, the guy opened cabinets and tapped the counters like he was checking for soft spots. In the hallway, the woman paused at the bathroom and frowned at the lantern, and my throat tightened. I slid my body between her and the doorway and kept them moving. They didn't stay long. 15, 20 minutes. They thanked me, walked out, and their car backed out of the driveway like they already had another place in mind. The second their tires hit the street, the house felt different. Quieter, like it exhaled. I stood on the porch for a second with my phone in my hand, arguing with myself, then went back in a lockup because that's what I do. I get paid to be the adult in empty houses. That's when I heard it upstairs, slow, heavy, like someone dragging a box across bare wood. Not a creak, not the house settling, a deliberate pull. I froze with my keys biting into my palm. The scrape stopped. I waited. Nothing. My mouth went dry, so fast it hurt. I yelled up the stairs, got no answer, and I climbed anyway because I'm apparently allergic to good decisions. I took the steps loud on purpose, like volume could protect me. Halfway up, I caught a smell, stale sweat, and something sour like what clothes left in a bag too long. At the top landing, the attic hatch was ajar. That hatch should have been flat and painted over. Now it sat open like someone had lifted it and forgotten to close it. A rope ladder hung down. New rope, clean knots, bright against the dusty ceiling. The listing notes literally said the pull-down ladder was missing. I stared at that rope and felt my skin crawl because it meant somebody came prepared. I stepped closer anyway because my brain kept trying to turn it into nothing. The hatch shifted just a hair, and a head eased into view from the dark above. A man, dirty face, hair stuck down, eyes too calm. He didn't look surprised. He looked annoyed, like I'd walked into his room. His eyes locked on mine for a second, and there wasn't a flicker of panic in them. Then he pulled back, and the hatch slammed so hard the frame jumped. The ladder shot up after him and vanished into the attic like it was being reeled in. My body Move before my brain finished arguing. I turned and ran down the stairs, missed a step, slammed my knee, didn't care. I hit the front door and yanked, and it didn't open. It didn't even flex. I shoved my shoulder into it. Nothing. I pulled again, so hard my wrists popped. I looked down and saw a chain latched across the inside of the door. Not stuck. Latched. Tight. Real. I swear to God that chain wasn't there earlier. I rattled it until my arms shook. I tried to lift it off the stud like you do, with cheap hotel chains, but it wouldn't give. The latch sat on my side, which made it worse, because it meant whoever put it there did it from inside with time to spare. I dug my fingers under it until my nails bent. Metal clinked, solid and unforgiving. Behind me, footsteps started coming down from upstairs. Slow, one step at a time. Whoever it was wanted me to hear the pace. Each footfall landed, paused, landed again like he was counting it out for me. I couldn't make myself turn around. I just scanned for a way out like a trapped animal, brain screaming that the open door I'd been so proud of was now the thing that made me look stupid. The nearest window was in the living room. I grabbed my lockbox hammer off the entry table and swung. The first hit spiderwebbed the glass. The second blew a hole. The sound was violent, like a gunshot in a quiet neighborhood, and I expected curtains to twitch, doors to open. Nothing. I swung again, cleared the jagged edges, then shoved my arms through and climbed. The glass paid me for it. Shards tore my sleeve, bit my forearm, and smaller pieces stuck in my palm like glitter you can't wash off. I barely felt it until I hit the yard and air touched the cuts. Then it burned. I ran to my car with blood on the keys. I fumbled, dropped them, snatched them up, got inside, and locked the doors so hard I nearly broke the button. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I backed out fast, tires spitting gravel, and I didn't stop until I hit the end of the street and could breathe without choking. I called 911 from a block away because I couldn't make myself go back alone. When the cops came, I drove back behind them like a kid bringing parents to check the closet. The house looked clean again, like it had reset. The front door opened easy. No chain, no screwoles, no marks. I stood there staring at the spot where the latch had been and felt sick because I knew what I'd seen and the house was making me look like a liar. They walked through with flashlights like they were humoring me. They checked closets, checked under windows, checked the attic. The hatch sat flat and painted, and when they lifted it, there was nothing up there but insulation and old rafters. All they had was my busted window and my bleeding arm. One cop asked if I'd been stressed lately, like stress makes ropes appear and doors lock themselves. They took a report anyway, half-hearted, then shrugged and told me squatters come and go and maybe somebody ran when they heard sirens. I kept trying to explain the chain, the rope, the way his eyes looked at me, and I could feel myself sounding crazier with every sentence. While they were still there, my phone buzzed. My broker, a text saying I'd ruined the showing and needed to get the window fixed before the next one. No, are you okay? No, what happened? Just business. I stared at that message and felt this hot, stupid rage rise up behind my eyes because somehow I was the problem again. My blood, my glass, my overreaction. The listing stayed active. The photos went back up, and the next open house time was posted online like an invitation.